So you finish mixing in headphones and it sounds like the 808 is completely swallowing up the entire song, or it's extremely dull on the top end, or it's muddy or unbalanced, but it was sounding good in the headphones. You just may be missing parts that nobody talks about or teaches, and a few of you that commented on my previous video talked about this, and this is the video that's going to address the issues, so let's get to it. Real quick, before we get into it, just two things. One, if you guys have any questions about mixing in headphones or anything else, please ask me in the comments. I would love to address them on camera in future videos. So whatever I don't cover today, please drop it below and it goes into the next one. Two, I've got an idea I want to run. I want to start inviting aspiring engineers onto the channel, people who are stuck on a pain point that they can't crack and want to figure it out on camera with me. If that's you and you have a good camera and a good microphone, comment below and we'll figure it on out. 5 things you need to know before headphones become a real tool in your studio. Let's go. Number 1, flat headphones don't exist and neither do shortcuts. Every pair of headphones you'll ever use colors the sound in some type of way. That's not an opinion, that's a technical fact. There is no headphone in existence that reproduces every frequency at equal volume. So the question is not, can I find a flat pair? The question is, which colorations can I learn, account for, and compensate for? Ultimately, what is your preference? I want to warn about 2 different traps. The first one is emulation headphones, the ones that pretend to model a famous studio, famous car, a famous mastering room like Slate VSX. And I know because I have a pair, and based on my preference, I cannot stand them at all. I don't think they solve the problem, I just think they add to it. The thing is, you're now listening through multiple guesses of rooms that you've never been in. If you've never been in those rooms, then how do you know? How do you actually know if the emulation is right? You don't. So you're just stacking unverifiable variables on top of each other. And one thing is, you can finalize at the very end after you finished your mix, but I would take that type of info given in VSXs with a grain of salt. You can love it or hate it, but if you like them, if you like those VSXs, then I love that for you specifically. The second trap is shiny object syndrome. Are there better headphones than the standards everyone recommends? Sure. Are there better cans than my HD 650s over here? Of course. Is there a better headphone amp than my Grace M900? Yes, of course it is. You can go down the rabbit hole about every piece of gear, every computer made, every camera, speakers, desk, room, the list goes on. Is it worth dropping $2,500 on high-end planars like the LCD X's by Odyssey before you've mastered what you already own? If the money's there and the upgrade calls for it just because you want to, then yeah, maybe. But if you don't, and you haven't tested it out for yourself to form a valid opinion, then probably not. Now, I'm the first person to say try or die, or try first and then go from there. Me personally, I've checked out the Manny Marroquin versions from Odyssey, and when I heard them, I really wasn't impressed at all. Now, I will say it could have been the listening environment that I was in or the headphone amp that I was listening from, so I will give it that, but still, it didn't beat out what I already know and am comfortable with. So will I revisit those Odysseys again? Yes, of course, but for right now, I'm good where I'm at. And the only way to upgrade for me is to truly solve a problem that cannot be solved with the equipment that I have. Most times you may not have spent enough time giving what you have a chance. So pick a tool, learn the tool, stop expecting the next purchase to fix your mix. Number 2, you need to reference every single session. This is the habit that will fix more headphone mixes than any plugin you'll ever buy. You need reference tracks, songs you know inside and out, songs in the same genre that you're mixing, songs that represent the result that you're after. Not your favorites, the ones that sound the way you want yours to sound. Well, here's where most people get it wrong. Referencing is not a final step. It's not something that you do at the end to check your work. It could be, but it's a recurring calibration throughout the entire mix. And after your first rough balance, try to reference. After your low end is committed, then reference again. And after your vocal chain is set, then reference a third time. After every major decision, you go back to the songs you trust and you compare. The reason that this matters more on headphones than on speakers is that headphones can lie to you in ways you don't always catch in the moment. And the place they lie to you the hardest is the low end. The 808s, sub bass, the weight of the kick. That's the range where headphones are the least trustworthy. You think it's hidden, you think it's controlled, and then you play it in the car, and the 808 either disappears or takes over the entire mix. So you're gonna have to cross-check. And for me, I have a sub pack, but they're discontinued, so it's not the kind of thing you can just go buy off the internet anymore. Outside of that, I might rely on my AirPods Max or my AirPod 2 Pros, wherever they are, to tell me if the 808 and the bass and the low end are sitting where they should. For me, and maybe for you, it might be your car, or it might be a different set of consumer grade headphones. It might be a Beats pill or a cheap boombox that you know very well. Keywords: know well. It does not matter what the second source is. It matters that you know it like the back of your hand, and that you have a go-to that you can trust what you're hearing, color and all. So going back to point one, you need to pick a tool by preference. You need to get used to it and calibrate it. Same rule, second layer, the high-end lie. Now this is the one that will mess up more mixes than any other thing on this list. A lot of popular studio headphones have a pronounced peak in around the 3 to 5 kilohertz range. That's the presence range. Vocal, snare tag, guitar bite, all the sounds you want to hear clearly. So when the headphone exaggerates that range, everything sounds detailed and present, and it feels great. But then you finish the mix and you play it on the phone, and the vocal is harsh, cymbals are just spitting, the snare sounds like it's stabbing your ear. But here's what happened. You weren't hearing extra high end. Your headphones were just adding 3 or 4 decibels of presence that you accepted as normal. So when you mix the rest of the track to balance, you actually pull the real high end down. And if you don't know this, you make harsh mixes and you don't understand why. But if you do know it, you can compensate. Calibrate first and then make it yours. Now, a lot of people hear headphone calibration and assume that it's an EQ trick you do to your mix, but it's not. They are two completely different things. EQ is creative. It's a tool you use to shape the sound of your mix. You pull a muddy frequency, you add air, you carve space for a vocal, but calibration is technical. It's a correction applied to your monitoring chain to account for the specific frequency response of your headphones. Where the headphone peaks, the calibration cuts. Where the headphone rolls off, the calibration boosts. And the goal isn't to change the sound, it's to unchange what the headphones already did to the sound. Now, I went over this very briefly in the previous video about Sound ID reference and Can Opener Studio 3. Links are in the description below. You'll want your headphones to be calibrated to a flat reference as much as possible, and maybe steal some of the characteristic of the headphones you personally have, but you don't have to stop there. Every engineer's ear is a little different, although everyone similarly has the same 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz range and adapts to the same Fletcher-Munson curve. If you don't know what that is, go look that up, or I'll explain it in another video. Every engineer has their own favorite curve or EQ curve that they've learned to trust. So calibrate first to get accurate, and then put your own paintbrush and taste to it. Nudge the curves to the response you mix best on. Calibration is the foundation. Your curve is the personality. Ear fatigue is physiological. Now, this is the one I want everybody to take seriously because it's the one that most people ignore. Ear fatigue is not a metaphor, it's a real physiological process. And when you listen at a sustained volume through headphones, those sensory cells inside your inner ears, they start to adapt. The hair cells that respond to specific frequencies reduce their sensitivity. Your ear literally stops hearing those frequencies as loudly as it should. So a frequency that you've been mixing for an hour starts to sound balanced. Not because it is balanced, but because your ears have stopped responding to it accurately. That's how you get mixes that sound perfect in the session and wrong everywhere else. The fix is simple and it's not optional. You need to take the headphones off every 20 minutes, about 2-3 minutes off, away from the source, let the ears reset, go take a walk, play a game, go to sleep, let the ears reset, and then come back. This is not a productivity tip, this is more so a technical requirement for mixing accurately inside of headphones. So that's it, 5 simple tips. Flat does not exist and shortcuts don't either. You need to reference every session. you need to watch the 3 to 5K lie, calibrate first, and then you make it yours. And then lastly, but not least, respect your ear fatigue. If you want the full system behind everything I just covered, the exact tools, the calibration chain I run every session, the workflow that makes headphones a professional reference, that's what I'm building inside my Re-Listen Headphones course. Link is in the description to get on the wait list. I'll see you guys in the next video.